Sound check. So 1, 2.
Okay, am I good?
One more.
I'm good? A little louder?
Right there, yeah.
Okay. April comes around and it feels like it always comes around full of challenges. But I think this season is an opportunity for me to, I feel like the challenge was, are you going to respond to the things that are happening to you the same, or are you going to exercise the opportunity to face the challenges different than you did last April or the April before that? But every April I can think of, it's like, I'd be like, ooh, shit. So I'm feeling good, like tackling the second half of the month. My father passed 5 years ago, and it's my youngest sister. So when she comes into town, I feel like all the energy in reference to, just healing and my father and what all of us being together, what that brings up. So that was like the first week. My car stopped on me. I needed a battery replaced. My car got broken into 5 days later, window busted, bag stolen. Just, then it's like, okay, life still has to, happen, but also knowing that when shit is happening, it's not happening to you, it's for you. So there was a slowdown that was needed. There's a pause, a break that's necessary. So those are just some of the things. But what is life? For a lot of people, it can sound crazy, but losing a parent very young is something that you don't foresee happening to you. And I've had actually like a lot of my closest friends at the time, years in the same proximity, were losing their parents, and I've always been there for them. So when it happened to me, it was like whirlwind, like, whoa, okay. And my father passed like literally like a year before COVID. So it was like my father passed, COVID came, I was forced to sit in the house. I lost all, not all, but a vast majority of my close friends at the same time. So for me, it felt like, and I'm a very spiritual, godly woman. So it felt like God was like, sit your ass down and get to it. You don't have a choice. There's nothing to do. There's no distractions. You can't go outside. You can't work. You can't it was forced upon me. And I'm grateful. God has always been in my life, but I never exercised creating a relationship. It was I would go to church on holidays and things of that nature, but I wasn't really pushed to create a relationship. More so just you pray over your food, you pray over your family, before you go to sleep, those kind of very traditional things. And then when I started to cultivate a relationship, I was like, oh, this shit hit different. I get it. A lot of spiritual practices kind of came about all at the same time. And it felt like tools were being handed to me. The more I cultivated this relationship, it felt like, okay, you did this, here's another tool. Oh, you think you feel good now? Here's another tool. Here's some more things to exercise your mind and see where your heart is and really sit and think about things, because I was in such a space of distraction, going out all the time. I'm always around family, the not knowing how to be by myself. I was also in that same 6 months, I got out of a relationship. Anything that could have been taken from me was taken, or removed, that rather. Nothing can be, I don't think things can be taken. They're removed. You just don't know the intention behind the removal at the time. You got your cape on. You human. You can't cosplay God. You can't cosplay a superhero. You gotta allow shit to play out the way that God intends for it to play out. Even the things that you might have not necessarily chosen for yourself, it was for you. I think when you fill up your time with things, it's because you don't want to sit with yourself and what quiet brings and the thoughts that quiet brings. And, your mind races when you are by yourself. So when you can reach a space where you can sit by yourself and sit with those thoughts and sit with the feelings that come up and get to the root of those, yeah, you've reached the real work. I was running from my thoughts. That's why I couldn't sit in solitude. When you cannot sit in solitude and understand the difference, there's a big difference of solitude and loneliness. Solitude is a choice. You choose to be in your own energy. You choose to sit with yourself and the thoughts that come with sitting with yourself, and choosing to, you gotta love yourself to love your solitude. It's not an easy practice, but it is a much needed practice. The term, when you have breath, you have options, is a real thing. Like, you have 2 to 5 minutes in the day to be like, okay, I'm doing mad shit right now. I'm gonna take a second. I'm gonna take 5 minutes in my car. I'm gonna just close my eyes. And when I get up in this 5 minutes, I'm getting back to what my current reality is. But for this 5 minutes, this is for me. And all it takes is 5 minutes for like a good regroup. Like, all right, I'm ready. Like, and I'm not in the I don't even like I tell people I don't do booked and busy. I do booked and blessed only. Like, busy is not a state that I want to live in. I don't want to live in like grind mode, hustle mode. Like, I feel like it's a societal thing to be pushed on you, but it is not a state that you have to live in. Like, shit can come to you in a space of ease and hard work without burnout. What's for me is for me, and it's gonna come to me regardless. And if I choose to rest for the state of my mental and my body and my spirit, that doesn't mean I'm missing out on anything. Like, resting is an essential. People use rest as a reward. Like, oh, I worked 30 days, I deserve 2 days off. Like, that's not what rest is. So I think those are the differences between knowing that you can be booked, but you're blessed in being booked. With that comes rest days. With that, is minimal burnout if you choose to take that time to yourself. It's night and day when you are living in the difference of, oh, I know what that feels like, versus now it's like, I trust that where I'm at, the things I say no to, is saying no for the right. You saying no for the right now to make space for the thing that is to come to you in the future. Living life is my story to tell, and I think a lot of people don't genuinely know me because I have kind of created this, not purposely, but I created this mystery around myself subconsciously, and I can self-reflect now and know that that was a trauma response. I was doing that out of survival mode so that people didn't actually know how I was feeling and what I was going through. So now in the space that I'm in, I can share when I meet people, even people that I know just in passing. Like, I want to uplift people. That's a part of my story. My story is speaking life into people, because I think that I know for a fact that I have a gift of speaking life into people that sometimes they don't realize that they have. I'm always in a constant state of reflection, and realizing where the mystery stemmed from. I was like, oh, this is not you genuinely wanting to be this mystique kind of person. This is because you don't want people to actually see you, and you can't control how they view you if they don't see you. And I feel like a lot of things, just we as humans, a lot of the challenge can be rooted in trying to control. trying to control how other people view you, trying to control the narrative that is behind your name and your image, even trying to control how you portray yourself to the outside world of like, I only want people to know this little pocket of me, but not the rest. And I feel like I kind of fell into that. I want to say I was about 21 or 22. Instagram was still a thing, but it wasn't what it is now. There was a girl here who was a stylist, and I hit her up on Instagram, and I was like, hey, if you're ever in need of an assistant, like, I would love to assist you. Please let me know. And she was like, thank you for reaching out. I'll definitely let you know. She hit me like a month later, like, hey, are you available in a few days? I have a shoot and I would love for you to assist me. Just bring your kit. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, I'm available. I'll be there. Soon as I got off the phone, I started Googling. I'm like, what is a styling kit? Because I didn't want to tell her, like, I don't know what that is. And not from a space, like, at the time, it was definitely rooted in, I don't want to, like, ask for help. I know that now. But also, like, if you want something and you reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm willing to do this thing, I also think do your due diligence and just Google. And everybody knows, like, when my friends see this, they're going to laugh. I do not like being asked questions that you can Google. I will tell somebody quick, like, yo, exercise the internet. I was in the house a lot, to myself a lot of reflection. The work started coming to me. So instead of, like, there was a point that I reached that instead of trying to fight this thing that I felt kept coming back for me, I'm like, okay, let's go about this differently. How would it feel if you set intentions behind this thing, styling, that you feel like you aren't called to do anymore, and see what happens? So I set the intentions of, like, I only want to do work that I feel aligned with. I don't want to say yes to work that I don't feel aligned with. I'm no longer saying yes to work for money. And it was just a list of, like, intentions. And at that point in time, exactly what I asked for started rolling in. That was a big part of my reasoning for stopping, because I felt like I was put into this big pot of, like, competition, when really I'm my own competition. Like, nobody can do what I do. Nobody has the eye that I have. And it took me a minute to realize I'm not doing it for people. I'm doing it for me, and if it resonates, cool. So the moment you shift your why for you and not to appease others or likes or reposts or none of the, like, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Once you start creating for you, it'll feel good. You found your why again. I think it comes from the story that you also choose to tell yourself. And I tell my friends this all the time, like, what story do you want to be true? The outcome can be the same. And I firmly believe, like, I tell myself this all the time. There is, you can have joy in uncertainty, or you can have fear in the unknown. They both equal the same thing. It's just this, what story do you want to tell yourself? You know what? Because I've always been this person of trying to figure out, I have been in a space where I am looking forward day by day. And not that I don't have a plan for myself or foresee things for myself, but as a person who has been challenged with control, being in a state of surrender and allowing God to show me what's next instead of me trying to guide my own steps, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to what will I be blessed with next, knowing that I'm not trying to control everything and I'm in a full state of surrender. Sometimes, I've learned to, like, turn it off sometimes. I'm like, okay, like, we gonna chill today. We're not gonna think about anything. We're not gonna like, cause I'm so like, I'm always in a space of just soaking in knowledge. And I realize that even that can be rooted in worth and not feeling worthy enough. And, oh, how can I be better? If you're in a constant state of how can I be better? How can you feel like you're best? It was only as of a few months ago. Like, I would find myself tired. And I'm like, yo, I didn't do much. Like, what am I tired from? It's like, you tired from all that damn thinking that you be doing, of thinking how you need to be better, thinking how you could be doing more, thinking. And it's just like, just be. Just be and see what happens. Turn it off sometimes. Like, it's cool. I think it's great that I'm in a space of reflection because it comes with the self-awareness. But it's okay to turn it off. Man, that's it. It's the tools and the time that you've put into yourself and the work that you've poured into yourself. There is no better feeling than being challenged with something that you know for a fact would have sent you into a frenzy, but instead you responded to it like, okay, yeah, this happened, but I'm good. Everything's gonna work out because it always does. Everything always works out. You know, it's like being in the constant state of go. That's what it is. It's like being on go, running from the stillness, running from the solitude, being in this rat race of like, what's next? What if nothing was next? If nothing was next, what would you do? Not having the expectation for people to pour into you the way that you pour, because that may not be their gift. And that is a big thing that I realized, that I have the gift of continuing to pour. And not that I don't expect people to pour my cup back, but I'm overflowing. You may not be overflowing. Your glass may be half full. You may need what I have to give and not be able to give it in return at this time. And I'm okay with that. I'm such a giver once. And I think that's the thing about people, like, why I didn't allow people to previously really see me, because I know the way that I show up for people. It is in the way that I show up in my relationships with people, and any sort of relation, anything that ends with the ship takes work. And I know what I'm willing to put into it. And I realized that was where my weariness came in of, oh, I pour like crazy. Maybe you're not ready for that, you know? And just, that's when I think it's a better practice of discernment, of knowing who's worthy of the pour and how much. You shouldn't expect yourself out of other people. Not to not have any expectations at all, but why are you expecting yourself out of someone else and you are one-on-one? It ain't gonna happen. It's only one you. How can you expect you out of them? Can you expect things similar? Can you expect, certain ways because you guys are aligned? Yes. But to completely expect yourself out of someone else, why do that? Why put that pressure on yourself or the other person? Expect them to be them. Thank you. I'm happy to share, and I'm glad that it resonated. I think that, like when it hits the way it does when someone's speaking to you, it's because that's what you needed to hear in that time. It's just it's the reminder. It's not anything that we don't already know. It's just like maybe some clarity on the subconscious thoughts of like, yeah, you was thinking about that. She just solidified, Thank you. Yeah, that's my final thought. Thank you for allowing me to receive the blessing that I asked for of getting out of this mystery space and allowing myself to genuinely share with people. Yeah,
Thank you for sharing.
I'm grateful. Gratitude.
Likewise.